family.
Namaskar, good evening, Sat Sri Akal. It's really nice to welcome all of you here this evening, the beautiful Goa and all you beautiful people. And what's more, it's raining so much, and in spite of that, you have made it to the event, and it's really, really heartening to see all of you. This is the second event of the Prabha Khaitan Foundation, which I shall tell you about in a little while, the foundation I mean. And we are absolutely delighted with the response and with the kind of love that you shower upon us. And it really, really motivates us because we are a new chapter. The Goa chapter is a new chapter. And it really motivates us to take this further. I'm the Ehsas woman, which is what we are called when we are associated with the Prabha Khaitan Foundation. And along with me, we have Gaurapriya Paikane and I have Shruti Zwarkar, who are also we three are the Ehsas women of Goa, who organize the events for Goa. Goa, the Pearl of the Orient, is known not only for its scenic beauty, but also its rich cultural heritage that effortlessly blends history, literature, and vibrant modernity. The city also boasts a long and illustrious history that dates back centuries, which makes it a treasure trove for literature enthusiasts. It has produced some very great writers like Lakshman Rao Sardesai, R.V. Pandit, Shanoy Goebab, Ravinder Kelekar, and of course, very recently, the award-winning Damodar Bab Mauzo. In this context, it only seemed very fitting that we inaugurate the literary event, the Right Circle in Goa. Today is the inaugural of the Right Circle event. The Right Circle is a platform which is organized by the Prabha Khaitan Foundation under many of its literature initiatives. It's birthed to bring together authors and readership of English literature and language in close, engaging, and an informal setting. The sessions are structured around the life and the works of the author, followed by an interaction with the audience. The Right Circle started its journey from Jaipur and now has conducted sessions not only in India, but even overseas at Oxford, Birmingham, New York, and Oslo. Today's event is in collaboration with Siddharth the Goa, who are our hospitality partners, and media partner is the Lokmat Group. And of course, the tireless support of all the Ehsas women. Today, we have with us a very, very special personality whose work speaks volumes in his film direction and storytelling. What can I say about him? I shall talk about him, Shri Rahul Rawail. First, let's have a huge round of applause. Who can forget? देखो मैंने देखा है ये एक सपना फूलों के शहर में हो घर अपना तू कहाँ है मैं यहाँ हूँ मैं आई 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 आजा. This was a hit song from Love Story, and of course from Betab also we can never forget. जब हम जवां होंगे जाने कहाँ होंगे जाने जहाँ होंगे फरियाद करेंगे तुझे याद करेंगे. So we have Rahul Rawail here with us. But before we dive into the most awaited conversation of the evening, I'll take a couple of minutes to talk about the Prabha Khaitan Foundation, which has made this event possible. Khaitan Foundation is a non-profitable trust committed to humanitarian and socio-cultural causes. Late Dr. Prabha Khaitan established it as a charitable trust in the early 1980s. Based in Kolkata, it is committed to supporting women's empowerment, gender equality, literature, culture, children's welfare, social causes, arts, and performing arts. Late Dr. Prabha Khaitan was an eminent Indian literature, philanthropist, and a social worker. She was also an entrepreneur and a feminist who established the foundation and is embodied in her famous words, Karm hi Jeevan hai, work is life. Charting a glorious 40-year journey, the foundation has gone from strength to strength by launching many initiatives to further the cause that Dr. Prabha Khaitan had envisaged. PKF organizes authors' meets, book launches, literature fests, panel discussions, boutique festivals, and events of performing arts. The foundation curates the best of events to widen the spectrum of languages and literature, be it English, Hindi, or any regional language. Authors and artists connect with their niche audience through diversified events like Kalam, Kitab, which we had last time, with Sri Prem Prakash ji, Ek Mulaqat, Tete, Akhar, Loves, Sur aur Saaz, Muskan, Rahat, Karuna, and so on, which are its ingenious pillars. To create awareness in the community, we uphold one pressing social issue every month. We are elated to share that 3-time Grammy winner, Ricky Cage, the man behind the signature collar tune of the Prabha Khaitan Foundation, has curated 12 amazing musical pieces to score across video invites of events and social media platforms. This July, the cause of the month is One Family. The song is aptly named Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which translates to the world is one family. I'm sure all of you saw it, heard it rather, in your invitation, because we had sent the invitation along with this particular music. Now, it's actually छोटा मुँह बड़ी बात कि आपको मैं इंट्रोड्यूस कर रही हूँ. ऐसा कोई नहीं है जिसको आपके बारे में पता नहीं है, but फिर भी I have to do this. Rahul Rawail ji is a renowned film director whose illustrious career has seen him bring numerous memorable characters and compelling narratives to the silver screen, like Love Story, Betab, Arjun, Dakayat, Anjam, and Arjun Pandit, to name a few. With an exceptional ability to capture the human experience, his films have resonated with audiences worldwide, earning critical acclaim and accolades. He is the son of renowned film director H.S. Rawail ji. His movies have been the launch vehicles for many Bollywood actors, such as, of course, Kumar Gaurav and Vijayta Pandit, Sunny Deol and Amrita Singh in Betab, and yes, the Kajol and the Aishwarya Rai as well. They were launched by Rahul Rawail ji. Rawail ji has worked with the immortal master of Indian cinema, Raj Kapoor, as an assistant director under the banner of RK Films. Under his tutelage, he learned the kernels of filmmaking, and went on to make a mark of his own. His association with Raj Saab and the fond anecdotes and memories are etched and captured in his book, Raj Kapoor, The Master at Work. To moderate today's conversation, we have with us Priyanka Kothari, a Ehsaas woman of Nagpur. And I'd like to invite Shruti Zwarkar, Goa Ehsaas woman, to say a few words about Priyanka, and then, of course, the moment we are all waiting for, a conversation with Sri Rahul Rawail ji. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot for coming down in spite of the heavy rains. And let me begin the show quickly by introducing a little words about Mrs. Kothari. So Mrs. Priyanka Kothari is a mother of 2, and she is a graduate in cosmetic technology and skincare educator. Right now, she's tutoring children in creative writing, and she's a literary enthusiast by herself. She is actively involved in NGOs, which is CMCA, Children's Movement for Civic Awareness, and she is a founding patron of the Vidarbha Literary Festival from Nagpur. Thank you so much. Please, we welcome both you on the stage.
Both of us are so impressed by the crowd here. In spite of this pouring rain, you all braved it, and this is such a motivation for all of us, for all the Prabha Khaitan Foundation and the Ehsaas women here. So let us just start and dive in already. Congratulations for this glorious book about Raj Saab that you have written, and an epic of a person that he is, and you put him into a book, and such an interesting one. Each of you will get a copy, and you should go through it. It's a page turner. But I want to talk about you. I want to talk about your childhood, about how was it growing up in a filmy family, vis-a-vis the filmy kids that we see now. How was your childhood, and how was their childhood different than yours?
Why do you specifically want to know about the childhood of a dinosaur? That's the first thing I'd like to ask you.
That's exactly why we want to know that.
Yeah.
Those times were different. Like reading this book, you're taken into some other era and you're transported. So now I want to know more about that era.
Look, when I started with Ratsa, I was a 15-year-old.
Yes.
So now you want to know before that. What I can remember is my love for mathematics and physics. I never wanted to become a filmmaker. I wanted to become a nuclear scientist. That's what I wanted to become. It's just that cinema changed my whole
Or R.K. Saab.
Yeah, and it was, Chintu was a childhood friend. We were in the KG together. And I kept up and we changed schools and all that, but we constantly in touch with each other. And Dad was very friendly with Ratsa. They were all the same fraternity. Unlike today, where people are not as friendly as they were at that time. And Chintu called me and I had just finished my senior Cambridge exams. So mine was the last batch of senior Cambridge, which finished in December. And I was to go to Canada in September and do my undergraduation from college there for nuclear physics. Is what I wanted to enter. So I had this gap of about 6-7 months. So Chintu called me up and said, your exams are over and Dad is starting shooting the Russian circus portion of Minam Joker from today. So why don't you come over, let's go to Azad Maidan. And there's lots of little Russian girls wearing very skimpy clothes. It'll be something worth, and that was really attractive. So there were two of us who just reached there to watch those girls. But for me, it was a day which changed my life because I had been through shootings with Dad. I had seen the whole process. When I went there on the set and I saw Ratsa working, I was taken aback because there's one man who was controlling about 5,000 people on the set. He had his own technicians. We had the Russian circus people. We had the Indian circus people. We had a crowd of practically 3,000 people in the stands. And there was this one man standing there controlling all these factors, and he knew exactly what he was doing. It's not that something he had to think about. He knew who was to do what. He was like, you could compare him with somebody conducting a symphony. Where there's one conductor who's really conducting all these elements together. And that's what fascinated me. And I forgot those girls. I wish I hadn't, but I did anyway. And I kept just watching him work. And after that, I kept going back to the circus every morning where he was shooting, and I'd sit far away and just watch him. And after about a week or so, I told my mother, I said, look, I'm going to just sit and do nothing here for 7 months. So I might as well join him and get to learn something. And Dad said, sure. Dad, in any case, was happy about the fact that he wanted him to carry the legacy. And Dad went and spoke to him. And he said, I've been seeing Rahul over here. I've been seeing him for the last 3-4 days. He comes every day and sits in a corner. He doesn't speak to anybody. And I knew this day will come. But let me call him. So he called me up and he said, you're more than welcome to start working with me. But remember one thing. Dad told me you want to do nuclear physics. In a week's time, you'll forget all that. The moment you start working, this profession draws you like a magnet and doesn't let you go. So are you prepared for that? I said, no, I'm not prepared to give up my studies. He said, no, you are. Otherwise, you would never wanted to become an assistant director. Anyway, let's see. So that's how I started with him. And then life took a change. It changed so much that I cannot even remember a word of physics or mathematics, and it just became cinema then, and that's all. That's how the whole thing started.
But then you did go to Xavier's for a while. You did.
Look, I went to Xavier's because the thing with Ratsa was that his day would start at 2 in the afternoon.
Oh.
So I thought the best way is that let me at least put a show on that I'm going to college also. So I would go at 7 in the morning to Xavier's, and I shifted from science to arts because of the timing of the college. And college is finished at 1 o'clock. Then jump into a train, go to RK Studios, and I'd be there in time for work.
Oh.
But it carried on till finally I did not graduate, though it's more fashionable to tell people I'm a graduate. So, I do at times say that. But I'm not a graduate.
But I mean, you've achieved much more than any even master. So, when I was reading the book, one quote came across by Mr. Roosevelt, which said, the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marked by dust, sweat, and blood, who, whether triumphs or fails, does so while daring greatly. And I think this totally embodied Raj Saab. Does this quote does justice to him?
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely.
How was he as a person? His passion for his cinema?
His passion for his cinema was great. He only thought about his films and nothing else. He had a zero sense of humor.
Zero sense of
zero
humor.
sense of humor. Zero, absolutely zero.
But these anecdotes are
the anecdotes are funny because he was. It was funny.
It is the cost of others.
But we were so scared of him. We were also scared. We never knew what he said, what time. He'd say anything to anybody, and there was no jokes or things of that kind. But he was totally involved with his work. His work meant everything to him, and he had no qualms about. This is below my dignity. I'm the director. I'm not supposed to do this or that. No, nothing. So that's how we all got trained to work with him.
So was his passion, that rubbed to you so badly that you did not want to go back to nuclear physics?
Yes, it did actually. There was this thing in RK. We had a projection room where we had a projectionist. His name was Dambara. And we had this kind of thing called Dambara Nights.
Yeah, I have a question about it.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start Dambara Nights and we get to that. Because that's where those were things which actually, watching him and even watching his whatever humor he had and his love for food and all these things put together, was a strange combination for a filmmaker and a filmmaker of that level.
Is it strange? Because I think now, don't the eccentricities make you do things like his movies had scenes and such bold scenes. Even now, it's difficult to pull that off. How did he manage to pull that off?
See, what do you mean by bold scenes?
Like skimpy clothes and how Zeenat Aman in Ram Teri and even actresses in swimsuits that time was quite unheard of, and I don't think anybody else tried.
See, he was always willing to think out of the box, and he was convinced about one thing, that if you think out of the box and it convinces people, the censors are not going to hold it back, which is what we learned from him. We never had a problem with the censors in any film with him.
Yeah.
And
but fact, nowadays you see...
nowadays you see all nonsensical stuff, if you ask me. it's titillating, fine, but it's
Yes.
not filmmaking like censors. Having learned this from him in Beta, so way back in '82, there was a kiss
Yes.
scene,
Yes.
and people were sure that it will get cut by the censors, and I said no, it won't. I said this is what I've learned. So, and finally, when it went to the censors, they did not even object to it. It just went through at that time.
This is
And-
how you do it. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
it's
and
more like
the reaction, of course, was tremendous to that. We were all sure that there'd be a huge, hue and cry about this
Yes.
whole thing. People would love it. But we were seeing the first show, Javed Akhtar and me, and the scene came where Sunny pulls Amrita and kisses her, and there was no reaction. People were just quiet. I think they were stunned to see it. Yeah, and then about 5 seconds after that, people started reacting. And then the noise became so loud, they could not hear anything going on ahead. They kept whistling and screaming or something which had gone back. But from the next show onwards, before the kiss would come, people would start
Start
clapping. But they'd been told by other people that there's a kiss over here. But it was Rats. I mean, he said, if you do it correctly, it'll be fine.
why not?
Yeah, but at times, going from that, when I made Arjun, I was sure that there were some things which the censors would cut. So we bribed the censor officer, and he came to the editing room in the middle of the night, and he said, remove this, remove this, remove this, and show it to the censors. So we removed it and showed the film to the censors.
And then added back.
It just came through without any problems. And then we put those things back in the film. And then the censor chief was Mr. Bikram Singh, Ken Singh's brother. He lived very close to my house. He reached my house at night and he said, you showed me the film without certain portions in it. And I said, no, it's now your word against my word. And because there used to be something called a censor script. So every scene was detailed and written on that. So I said, if you read the script, it's all there. And he read it, it was all there. So after that, they changed. Instead of censor script, they take a video of the film and keep it there. So anyway, we cheated and we came out of that.
You can now you can even say on record, but so like I said, so was it his eccentricity that rubbed into you also, that daring that he had? That
Yeah, he was very, very daring. A man who made Miranam Joker and then lost that kind of money as he did in that film, almost got into ruin. But he made Bobby,
Yes.
which was completely, non-star cast, new boy, new girl. First time with a teenage love story.
Yeah.
Actually had teenagers. Did
Yeah.
not have, like earlier we had even Manoj Kumar playing a teenager and, working in a teenage. But he had the guts to do all this, and that paid off in a big way.
And it rubbed off to you because you launched such great names. I mean, you also have taken a lot of risks.
See, look, I launched these names for partially for other reasons. One was I was offered this film of Rajendra Kumar's son to direct, which was a big thing for me as a newcomer. And I made that film. The film got complete. Absolutely was ready for release. And then I got into, I have Sachin laughing over there. Then I got into a hassle with the producer, Rajendra Kumar. And the funny thing is that that time, Ratsa's daughter was engaged with, married to Rajendra Kumar's son. And I was very friendly with Ratsa. So during the making of Love Story, he kept telling me at every stage कि देखो अभी राजेंद्र कुमार ये करेगा, अब वो तुम्हारे साथ ये करेगा, and everything just started. It was like Jyotish, who's telling me this could happen. It kept happening till he told me. He said he will try to see that your name doesn't appear on the film, since he'd want his own name over there, and that came to that stage. And I finally gave up my name. I said I had a problem. The film was totally complete. I went to court. But Raj Saab told me, I told him, as I'm taking my name off, he said it's a very brave thing to do. But he'll put his own name, which is not fair. So I went to court and we had affidavits collected from all the actors that I had done the whole film. So the court said that, if he doesn't want his name, you can't force him. But the film cannot carry anybody else's name as director, because evidence that he's directed it. So Love Story happens to be the only film in the world which does not carry a director's name. There's no other film in the world which does not carry the name. So I did get a lot of credit. I mean, credit in the sense everybody knew I had done it. Mm-hmm. But
everybody knows that you have done that.
But the industry, was not ready to... I don't think it suited them to see this, a young person make a film which is so successful. So they kept saying, no, it can't be him, it must be Rajeନ୍ଦ୍र Kumar. After all, he must have done it. Till Dharminder called me himself and he said, I saw the film yesterday and I don't know who's directed the film, but all I know is it can't be Rajeନ୍ଦ୍ر Kumar. So, so he said, so it must be you. And that's how Sunny's thing happened. And
but you spotted Kajol, and also Paresh Rawal ji, and they're like...
Yeah, Paresh Rawal, they were all... they're all gifted actors.
Gifted, totally gifted actors.
Absolutely gifted.
So you developed that eye, you have the eye for talent.
I wish I did. I would have to launch myself, If I had that eye for talent.
So you had the talent to act? Like you wanted to act?
No, I didn't want to act. But if I could spot the talent, I will look at myself in the mirror every morning, so I could spot myself. Oh.
So, like we were talking about Raj Saab and his passion, and while I was reading, I was wondering, like he must have inspired this entire, all the generations of these directors. What inspired Raj Kapoor?
Raj Kapoor would pick his inspiration from anything happening in life, anything he personally saw or he experienced. And I'll give you a small thing. He was at a wedding in Delhi. I was there with him. And Ravindra Jain was the wedding singer over there. And Ravindra Jain sang a song. And Raj Saab got up and had some money in his pocket and gave it to him and said, this song is mine. And so part of this money is for the song, part of the money is for the story, because your song is the story I'm going to make. Now, it came as a surprise to all of us. And the song was Ek Radha Ek Meera from Ram Teri Ganga Maili. So later on at night when we asked him, he said, sir, how is that song going to turn into a film? And he said, I've read in Ramchitra Manans that when at Prayagraj, Ramji had gone to Prayagraj and at the conflux of the rivers there, he told a boatman, he said the Ganga is coming or bahut maili hai Ganga. He said, I remembered this. And that boatman said, कि राम तेरी गंगा में राम तेरी गंगा में नहीं हो गई पापियों के पाप धोते धोते. So he said, this is the story and this is the song. I'm going to put them together and make the film. So that's how he...
Wow.
So he would
very unusual place to cite a story. So we are running out of time and I have loads of questions for you. But let me ask, why did you decide to chronicle his life? Like, there are a lot of books around Raj Kapoor ji.
See, everybody spoke about Raj Kapoor as the showman and his parties and his women and all
Yes.
that. And I thought nobody's spoken about Raj Kapoor, the man who made his films or why he made the films, how he shot them. And when I decided to do the book, I met his wife and I told her, I said, Krishnanti, I'm doing this. And she said, Rahul, you must. Because you are one of the few living people who know how my husband worked. And
Yes.
if you, if you don't write about him, what my husband did in his life will all be forgotten. Nobody will know about it.
Yes,
So
I agree. Like,
that's-
you have gone to such details of his supporters, like his crew and staff. You remembered everything.
Even his, 6 chapters in the book are dedicated only to Raj Kapoor making his films, of how he thought about things, how he controlled his actors, and his controlling his actors was very funny. He had his own way because, when we were doing Bobby, Premnath ji was
Premnath.
working. Now, Premnath ji in those days was riding very high, and he was quite a crackpot at that time. We were all very scared of him because he was dubbing a film called Shore of Manoj Kumar's in RK Studios, and there he had slapped the assistant director. So when we came to know he slapped the assistant director, we were worried that our turn will come when he might slap us at any time. And when we were shooting, Raj Saab shooting, and Premnath was there, and after take, Premnath said, "Oh, this take is fantastic. Nobody can do better than this." And he kept talking about himself. Raj Saab also said, "Yes, it's very good. Prem, nothing can be better." And I used to always kneel wherever Raj Saab is sitting, and he suddenly turned to me and said, "What did you say, Rahul?" I never said anything, never said a word. So he said, "Batao, batao," and he bent down towards me and he whispered, he said, "Just don't say anything, all right?" So he kept doing, and he wanted me to move my lips as though I'm saying something. And then he turned down and told Prem Saab, he said, "Prem, let's do one more, Rahul doesn't like it." So Premnath said, "Who is Rahul not to like it? He's nothing, he's an assistant director." So he said, "No." He said, "But he's got his problem with the take." Now he was telling Premnath what he didn't like, right? But he was
They were
playing
related
it.
also.
Yeah, they were related. Yeah. His wife was Premnath's elder sister. And it happened once, but then it kept happening. Every time, finally when we were shooting Premnath, I used to stay away from Raj Saab. कि ये कभी भी घूम के मेरे को बोल देंगे. And Premnath caught hold of me one day. And in the makeup room, and he caught me by the collar, and he said, "Why do you not like my shots? I want to know this." Every time. Luckily, I got out of the situation. I was pretty sure he'll say something to me. And so this is how Raj Saab got his work done from actors. And he was a great teacher, not only for the actors, even for me. He taught me one thing which I never forget is, he said, "If you ever have a question, always ask me. Or you'll live with this regret that you never asked a question and you did not get the answer." So must ask me. And if I would ask him something, he would go through lengths. Of course, his idiosyncrasies were around, his food. I mean, a man was sitting and eating food, and we were having a tiffin in the evening, and he took a piece of pav, and that's a bread there, and he split it, put butter on it, and put a jalebi in between. And I was watching him, and he started eating that. I said, "Sir, how can you eat this?" He said, "Kahin likha hai ki nahi? I can't eat it." I said, likha to nahi hai. He said, I'll tell you a better way to eat it. He took that, dipped it in tomato ketchup, and ate up the whole thing. I mean, if he'd go out to a place where people are around for some reason, if there were sandwiches, he would open up the sandwich without people looking, eat up the center, put the bread back and keep it on the table again. Why he would do these things, we never ever understood, but these were there. And I also see one lady there telling us to hurry up. This is what happens at all Prabhakatan meetings. There's somebody who stands on the board saying 10 minutes. I saw this board some time back. Now she's moved up here anyway. He also, I have to tell them about his incident with Ramu, which I think is the funniest thing which I have ever seen. We had a distributor called Ramu. He was our distributor for Bobby, and the profits of Bobby never came to Rajsab. Ramu had not given it to him. So one night coming back from town, he told the driver, he said, ki Ramu ka ghar pe lo. So Ramu lived in a small lane at Matunga. So we went to the lane and it was late night. Lights were off, everything was off. Rajsab got out of the car and he shouted, Ramu, Ramu. Now hearing a man shouting at this time, people started collecting. Lights started coming on, people started looking around, and people saw him, said, that's Raj Kapoor. People came down, and Raj Kapoor and Ramu came running out. Ramu was a typical South Indian in a dhoti, which was folded half, and he wasn't wearing a kurta, and he had that tika on his head. And Rajsab said, मेरे बॉबी का प्रॉफिट कहाँ है? तो ही सेड मेरे पास है. तो इसे तुम्हारे पास क्यों है? मेरा प्रॉफिट है, मेरे पास होना चाहिए. तो ये सब मिल जाएगा आपको. इसे कब मिलेगा? इसे जल्दी दूंगा, जल्दी नहीं, मुझे डेट बताओ. Now this is happening at about 12:30 at night with about 40-50 people standing around. And Ramu said, कल दे दूंगा मैं आपको. And Rajsab suddenly caught his lungi and pulled it off. And that was Ramu standing there, stark naked on the road. And Rajsab took his lungi and said, कल स्टूडियो में पैसे देकर जाना मुझे और लुंगी ले जाना, and sat in the car and went away. And you left Ramu with all his neighbors. So these were, this is the way he behaved. But all these things, like this Ramu incident, was all related to his work. Everything went around his mind was connected to his work. Music was a big thing for him. And the first song of Miraram Joker, which was being recorded when I was his assistant, I went to the music room. And for me, it was a great fanboy moment because I entered a music room. I was 16-year-old. And there was Raj Kapoor. There was Shankarji, Jai Kishanji, Hasrat Saab, Shailendra Saab, and Mukeshji. Seeing these people together was a great thing, and they were discussing on a song situation. Now, whenever a music director sings a tune, he always has dummy words. Dummy words so that you can understand the tune better. Like you sang Maya Aja. Those were dummy words which Pancham had used. So finally when the song was made, we said, let's keep these words as they are. So they made the tune, and then Shankarji started singing it. And I did not know whether I should jump out of the window or how I kill myself, because the dummy words were the choicest galis you can think of. I mean, how can these 6 talented people hear a song which sirf galiyan de rahe, and then they're discussing it. कि वो शंकर जी काम करो, वो माँ की जगह वो बहन करके कर दो, वो so and they were actually, they did the whole song this way, and they said, the galis don't matter to us. It's just a question of getting the tune. So this is the crazy ways they all worked in. But there's been nobody like him, and I doubt we'll ever have a filmmaker like him again. I doubt it.
The way, that's what I was about to come. Like, do you see this in some director now, or like how the popular Hindi cinema is going now? Like, even there are a lot of experimentation happening in South Indian movies, but Hindi cinema, I think people are sticking to safe subjects, unlike Raj Kapoor ji. So, is it about time that we have another Raj Kapoor ji? Can we, or is there any Raj Kapoor ji in making that you see in some director or some filmmaker?
I don't actually see in anybody. Maybe I've got a bias towards it, but he's the only person I know who had a knowledge of the 360 degrees of filmmaking. You could talk to him on anything you wanted, including cinematography, sound recording, music, anything. Like music, he could play any instrument by just looking at it. He'd look at it and start playing.
You start playing. That's a gift that.
Yeah. So this knowledge.
Like once you mentioned that in that taxi thing, it was he who composed Sun Saiba Sun.
See, when I joined him in '68 as an assistant, there were two songs which he used to sing, and what was happened was his daughter, his elder daughter, plays the piano, and Sundays used to be spent with father and daughter, where daughter would play the piano and the father would sing songs, and they would compose songs. So in '68, he told me, he said, there's two songs I've composed, which I'm going to use in some film. And one was Jhoot Bole Kawa Kaate, was one song, and the other was Sun Saiba Sun, Pyar Ki Dhun. There was no story, there was no situation, just two random songs composed by him. And in 72, when we shot Bobby, he used the first song, Jhoot Bole Kawa Kaate. And then he used Sun Saiba Sun much later in Ramtiri, Ganga Meli. And that incident on the taxi is one night I was at my house and I was told that Rathab has come out, 4 in the morning. And I came out and he was not there. And one of my neighbors there, he said, you know, Raj Kapoor was here. And he was angry about something, but sat in his car and went away. And the car came back in a minute. So I asked the driver, I said, Saab kahan? He said, Saab naraz ho gaye? तो बोले मैं गाड़ी में नहीं जाऊंगा, मैं बस से जाऊंगा. तो बस स्टॉप पे उतर गए. I said, I'll go and, you know, I'll do it. So I took a car and I went there. And he was standing alone at a bus stop. So I stopped the car. I said, sir, what are you doing here? He said, I'm waiting for a train. I'm at a bus stop. Of course, I'm waiting for a bus. So you're talking like an idiot. I said, I'm sorry. But, I said, buses won't come till 5:30, 6 in the morning. So he said, I'll wait till that train. I said, bhaiya, मैं आपको छोड़ देता हूँ. And he picked up a stone and threw it at me. So I drove away. I said, let me go round the block and come back. When I came back, he wasn't there. He was missing. So I went on this road and kept going on this road to RK. And I found him in a taxi. At that time, taxi drivers were allowed to have one companion at night. So in the taxi in front was a taxi driver, Ratsab in between, and his companion on the left. 3 were sitting in the front. और जो taxi driver के सर पे एक उसने this कपड़ा, you know, Ratsab had that around his neck, and both his arms were around the cab driver and the cab driver assistant. And I drove up to them, and Ratsab was singing Sun Saiba Sun. No, this was 1972. He was singing this song to them. I didn't stop them. Went up to the house. He went home, paid I told the cab drivers, I said, how much is your bill? And they said, साहब राज कपूर हमारी टैक्सी में बैठा है और राज कपूर ने हमको गाना सुना है, तो पैसे किस बात के? तो ऐसा गाना कैसा लगा? जिससे कौन सी पिक्चर गाना हमको ये भी नहीं पता, लेकिन राज कपूर ने गाना सुनाया, बहुत अच्छा था. Next morning, he called me up and said, come to my house. I went home And he said, did I come to your house last night? I said, look, you know it. You came to my house. You remember everything. So he said, did you meet the taxi drivers? I said, that. So what did I feel about the song? Now this is what, drove the man. He just wanted to know what was the reaction to the song. So that's what is dedication. I don't see that happening today.
Okay. So we are out of time, long time back. So I would like to open the floor for questions from the audience if anybody wants to ask something.
And we met last year at the Kumaon Lit Fest. I wanted to ask you, being an author myself, that in your journey of writing, what was the most difficult part for you, or what was the part which made you hesitate? Was there anything you were unsure of? Because I do recall you mentioning that you didn't have a very comfortable journey with the publishing experience.
That was the problem of a publisher.
That was later.
Yeah,
but I just wanted to know, in your writing part, was there anything which you found would have been coming across a little difficult, or was it very personal which you couldn't share?
No, I've shared everything excepting there's certain things which I do not want to talk about. Okay. And the problem I had was this whole book was written by memory. I had no notes made or nothing. So, one had to keep remembering, and as it went, you kept remembering things and putting it down.
And what was the reaction of the Raj Kapoor's family? Like, did they appreciate it?
They loved it.
Okay. And they would have added their own contribution to it? Or
No, the contribution, no, but they were all very excited. They said, this is the closest anything we've read about our father. And this is the closest they came to. In fact, there were lots of things they did not know about. And so that's how it came.
Okay. Thank you.
During that time, not a lot. And especially after working with you, there was a phase in his career where he was not getting much work. And of course, it all ended with Love Story. And now, there's a revival of what kind of a man he was, what kind of music he did. So tell us a little bit about your experience with R.D. Varman, the other legend.
I think, Sachin, that's a different story. So we'll be moving away from what we've been talking about. But that's a long association and it's a long story. And I'm lucky to have worked with him. That's all I can say.
Good evening, sir.
Hi.
This is Aditi. It's a pleasure to have you here. You said that whatever you wrote was from your memory, from your notes. Did you ever feel the pressure that, you may be questioned on the authenticity of what you're writing, since there was no, there was no written...
No, I was, because somebody or the other had heard about these things. So there was somebody to vouch for that. And in any case, even if somebody would have objected to it, they couldn't, because legally, when a man is not living, you can say whatever you want about him. Nobody will ask you.
Being the spoiled sport, sir.
No,
but I was I love listening to radio when I drive, and I was listening to Anu Kapoor's show, and sadly my son turned it off when he was completing the story. There was a story about you he was mentioning just a couple of days back, where you were casting Saif Ali Khan for the first time, and he has been a throb, and it mentioned about how he was not a good person on the set, and how you had to cast him away, and I couldn't complete the story because my son changed the channel, so I would like to listen it from the man himself.
No, Saif, I had cast him in Bekhudi as a lead. He was a very irresponsible kid at that time. So I had no alternate but to change him and cast somebody else. But like he tells me now, he said, that really helped me. I suddenly realized that I am vulnerable. So that's what changed me.
That's what I want to change. Like you being a film kid and Saif being a film kid. I think your generation they didn't feel so entitled like probably the kids now are. How do you react to this new, this nepotism talk? And
I don't know. I mean, nepotism, I think there are more actors today who are not necessarily kids of people we've known.
The more successful ones then.
Yeah, the most successful guys are not. Like even Salman Khan, Salim Khan was not a star. Neither was Rakesh Roshan a star. Their kids have...
bigger stars.
In fact, more of the star kids have not made it. So it's the other way around. But there is one particular producer who insists that he will take only star children, and so that's... I mean, he's not worried about their talent or, where they come across, and he wants to take them. Good luck to him.
Just taking this further, what you're speaking about, what I wanted to know was that, see, filmmaking is always a risk, right? Any film you make, it's a risk. And you have, really taken an extra risk by casting not only new faces, but new music directors as well, if I remember right, if I'm saying it correctly. So, what do you think? I mean, like, it's such to launch a new face and to have a new person, and how has that been? How's that journey been? I mean, how come you?
Does this give you sleepless nights, like suddenly?
The new music director whom I took in a film was only Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, I think. That was in Aur Pyar Ho Gaya. Now, Nusrat Sahab is not new. One could not call him a new person. So.
But is there any movie that gave you sleepless nights because you took
a
risk?
all the films I did with stars, they all did. They gave
because
me
you did with
nights.
stars?
Yeah. They gave me sleepless nights.
Oh, I was asking otherwise, like because you launched new faces. And
No, it's very comfortable working with new people, not with the stars. Because the stars are all full of themselves.
I think with someone like Raj Saab, when you decided to move away and start on your own, did you get a lot of inputs and a lot of help from Raj Saab? Or,
A lot. I was fortunate to have him there. And he was available to me whenever I wanted. So I used to keep running back to him for all kinds of problems and
so was
solutions.
he a proud teacher? I mean, I'm sure he was a proud teacher. Like you did.
Yeah, he was very, very proud. Very proud teacher.
So tell us about the Arjun incident of the umbrella.
The 7 cameras.
The 7 cameras. In Arjun, there was an action sequence which was done without rehearsing it. It was done at Flora Fountain. That's where Bombay's got the hub, and very crowded at lunchtime. So we decided to shoot with 7 cameras. And we were not rehearsing the action sequence. We took the cameras there in the morning at 5 o'clock, placed them in 7 different places, told all the camera guys, the 7 camera guys, that Sunny would come in this particular car, and the moment you saw him, you just start the cameras. And, I said, you'll get about a minute before the crowd realizes it's shoot. So you've got only a minute to shoot and, change the lens, do whatever you like. Get me as much footage as you can. And that's how it went. And after about a minute and a half, people did realize it's a shoot. And that's when they wound it up. And we edited it. It came out very well because it's all very natural. And all the cuts were different because the camera somewhere was wide. The same camera was moved close up and moved away slightly. And it came to 135 odd cuts from those cameras. And after I made the film and I took the film to Raj Saab, Mr. Ranveer Kapoor was there, and this was just before the interval. And he asked me, he said, how many cameras did you use in that sequence? So I said 7. And Raj Saab just turned around and said, where's 7? I saw only 6 angles. Where was the 7th? Now, this was an answer which amazed me. I mean, I could not believe this man because there were actually 6 angles used. The 7th camera had failed So I had not used that. Now he, in 135 cuts, managed to point out that this is 6 angles. Not the fact that the camera had moved. Now this requires, it's intelligence of another kind to point out that kind of thing. It's very difficult. And everyone there was quite surprised, including Javed Akhtar and all. And they said, "You never told us." I said, "It was not something worth telling." But I said, "This man, why did he have to say it? I don't understand." But he pointed out he was absolutely dead on. That's the knowledge he had about cinema. I watched a film festival with him where he was chairman of the jury. I watched the entire festival with him. Now, films of different languages come there. But he would, after the first 15 minutes, he would describe the story of the film, what character would perform in what way, which character would twist where, how the film would end. And 99% he came out correct. Bang on. So it was pretty accurate for a filmmaker. Yeah, he had the gift. Everything. Yeah, you really can't.
Do we have any more questions from the audience?
Sir, I'm Atul.
Ajit.
Most of the businesses we have budget, and I believe that during your time when you were producing films, the budgets were not so very well articulated. As a director, if you demanded any scene or any situation which you wanted to film which is out of the budget, did you get it from the producers? And did it become hit or did it become disaster?
What you said, what the cost would be. But when you needed something, then the cost would not matter. And especially, working with Ratha, one realized that cost is something he would never look at. And especially in Bobby, after making Joker, which was a complete, ruined him completely. But in Bobby, we never felt that at all. I remember there's a party scene in Bobby where Chintu sings that song, Main Shayar To Nahi. And Ratha said, in the party, I want champagne bottles opened and for the snacks, you guys will keep wafers and no, it's a rich man's party. I want kaju. And I told him, I said, what's wrong with you? You want kaju and kishmish? And he said, no, I want that. That's what I want. And I want champagne. Don't get me a bottle of limca with, mixing something. No, I want actual champagne around. So anyway, we got the champagne. And I was more worried about the kaju and I said, because the junior artist sitting over there. So at one time, in scenes like this, the producers would put flit on the snacks and all there. So nobody would eat them. Yeah, Prithviraj Kapoor, in fact, fell sick. He fell sick with a film called Rustam Aur Saurabh, where in a scene that tandoori chicken, and they put flit and, he just ate one piece of chicken. That's why he fell sick. So with Ratha, now there was no question of putting flit. So I remember that, and still in the film, there was one scene with 2 junior artists, the crowd, sitting across. And I was not doing what I had to do, was to look at things happening. I was only worried about these 2 guys and the kaju. And they just kept insisting on, eating the kaju all the time. And I told them, I said, listen, stop eating so much kaju, you'll fall sick. But they just kept eating it. These were the expenses which Ratha did not even bother about. They were minor for him. If he needed 1,000 people, he had 1,000 people. If he needed whatever he wanted, he'd get there. And that, I think, became an expensive habit, for me at least, In Dakat, I used 5,000 cops for one sequence. You know, it was maddening to control 5,000 people. Yeah, so when I told Raj Saab, I said, 5,000 उसमें use किया मैंने. So he said, that's good, but you should have had 5,000 more. So I said, you know, this is the way he functioned. So budgets were actually, today is different. You know, today the tragedy is, we have stopped shooting scripts. We are shooting numbers. That's the biggest tragedy. And films are only worried about a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're not bothered about the other things. Not bothered about it at all. You know, Raj Saab, I think, left in a happy space. He would have been very unhappy in today's times. See, I had thought of my problem. People have been asking me to write again. So has Apra been telling me, write again. And I would like to write. Some people have said write fiction. I don't know.
You should write more of this, like
Anecdotes.
I thought of doing something called Kapoor and Sons. You know, with the three sons. And, but, you know, I know them all so closely that it would become very uncomfortable for the families. Yeah. For me to draw a line would be very difficult. Because that's, I think, where the material would lie. And that would... so I'm not sure about that. Same thing on Rishi Kapoor. I was very keen on doing a book on him. But again, this making it uncomfortable for so that's why I actually stayed away. I still, at times, I get a jhatka ki let me write it here, then and
because this will be lost. Like whatever film writing that is happening is not happening at this level. Like this is so intimate and so so objective. There's no personal. Even I mean. Not even attacking, but like it's pretty objective for a book and very. I think it's as good as an archive.
I don't know. I thought a lot about it, and there's nobody else who's been so close whom I can really write about.
Want this to end. It's such a wonderful
But I
conversation.
must say that on all my interactions with Prabha Khaitan, which is probably the best events I have done. I think it's with the Prabha Khaitan Foundation. They're brilliant. And the people who look after you, the way they manage things is brilliant. And this is the largest crowd I've seen from the 10 or 12 which I've done. Really.
Definitely go on. It's a big applause.
Yes, it is. It really is. And an audience paying rapt attention, though nobody asked a question. So, you know, maybe there's just 12 guys talking for an hour.
It's a time crunch, otherwise we would have gone on. I, Gaurpriya Paikane, Ehsas Women of Goa, express a heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest author, Mr. Rahul Rawail, and sincere appreciation for gracing us with your knowledge, creativity, and passion for the written word. Also our talented Ehsas woman, Priyanka Kothari. Thank you, and thank you, sir. Their presence and renderer truly made this occasion extraordinary. To our esteemed audience, thank you all. You all have really been wonderful. Thank you for being the heartbeat of this gathering. It is your love and constant support that keeps us geared up all the time. I would also like to thank our hospitality and venue courtesy, Siddharth Goa, media partner Lokmat, and the unwavering support of Ehsas Women of Goa. Prabha Khaitan Foundation promotes cross-state cultural understanding and appreciation. A mosaic of cultures forms the backbone of our nation, contributing to its vibrancy and richness. This is to support our ongoing efforts to foster unity and appreciation of the rich culture heritage
across India's diverse states. Keeping this in mind, we are pleased to present the author with one such giveaway. Dokra, a non-ferrous metal, is beautifully molded by artisans to craft artifacts, accessories, utensils, and jewelry. Owing its name to the Dokra Damar tribe of West Bengal, this ancient bell metal craft practice is practiced in Bengal. I would now like to call upon Vivek Batra, the HM of Siddharthi Goa, to felicitate Mr. Rahul ji. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, one and all, and good night. Please do take a complimentary copy, autographed by Rahul ji, before you leave.
As far as I can see, as far as time extends, no soul was ever born outside this home. No heart has ever beat outside this song.